Okay, Ronnie, thanks for sending me your swingy, mate. Right, so let's get to it. So, a little bit of analysis first before we go in and start talking about what we've got to make better. So, setup wise, I kind of like your setup. I like how your upper back's kind of curved over a little bit. You look as though you've got an equal amount of weight on the balls of your feet as your heels, which I like. The only problem is I can't see any space under your chin. Alright, I think your chin's down into your chest a little bit too much. So I think just kind of getting your chin up in the air a little bit more will help you with your takeaway, and in particular how you move your left shoulder down. You can see as you take it away here, your left shoulder's moving a little bit too high. Right, this left shoulder's just a little bit too high here. Your hands are moving kind of straight back rather than inward, right? And when that happens, you're obviously going to get the club head a little bit behind your hands, which is what's happening here, right? Shafts here, club head's here. So in your setup on the right side, very kind of 50-50, isn't it here? With regards to your lower body, I'd like to see your knees outward a little bit more, right? I can't see your toes because this bit's in the way, but I hope your right foot's out a little bit and I hope your left foot's out a little bit. But I'd definitely like to see your knees outward and pushing outward a little bit as well. And if we put a little line here, right? And what I see here is exactly what I'm saying. Your left shoulder isn't moving down enough to start the move, right? Which coincides with what we're seeing over here. So then, as we move up to the top, kind of late wrist hinge, which is what you see. The guys with very flat shoulder turns generally struggle with getting the club head high early as well. So you've got a little bit of a late wrist hinge, a little bit of a pull off the ball there. But you're definitely loading up into this leg a little bit too much. Left shoulder's too high, right? So it's kind of we need to understand a little bit of extension and side tilt with your spine, right? So we need to feel as though your head is moving this way in the backswing and your spine is tilting over here, right? That's what you need to feel, right? You won't be doing that because your head will be staying still when you hit a golf ball, but that's what you need to feel more, right? So, and then we get to the top. It's very upper body orientated to pull the club down, isn't it? Right? There's no gathering of the club. It's all kind of upper body doing the work, right? I'd like to see you sit into this leg a little bit more, kind of getting this knee moving laterally, so you can sit into it a little bit more, right? And then that's going to kind of pull your hips round. Your hips are going to move laterally and upwards. Right, and then as your lower body starts to go, what I'd like to see is a little bit more gathering the club, right? The club head should be feeling as though it's going this way to shallow out the plane. Right, so it's very upper body orientated, and then as we come down to impact, you can see all that kind of upper body movement moving to the left. Right, no kind of arm swing at all. Your arms definitely aren't out racing. Your arms definitely aren't out racing your body. Right, it's kind of just an upper body. It looks like you're kind of focused on keeping your pressure points underneath your armpits, but you just haven't got this idea of letting your arms and the club swing. Right, it's more just a come down and hit it with your body. Right, rather than the idea of letting the club head swing and kind of controlling your hands and educating your hands through the shot. You see what I mean? So, what do I mean by all that stuff? Well, if we pull up, so this is me just on the range, just finished some lessons. So I thought I'd just shoot a quick kind of training video. So what I mean by your left shoulder moving down, right? So let's stop you there, right? So what I'm seeing here is your hands moving back kind of over your toes, right? This way. Your left shoulder moving too high. Right, so your hands move back straight, your left shoulder's moving back too high, and then the club head ends up around here inside your hands, right? But what we want is we want your left shoulder moving downwards more, right? With your hands moving inwards, right? Don't forget, we should always be feeling as though we're swinging our hands inwards to come down and hit out at the ball, right? We want to start it out to the right for our little push draw, right? So we always want to feel as though our hands are moving inwards this way. So you look at your position there, right, left shoulder too high, hands move back too straight. My left shoulder's coming down low, but my hands are moving moving inwards, look, right? As long as you're cocking your wrists, then you can keep the club head outside. And this is just a little training club, right, which I use in my lessons, right? But as my hands are moving inwards, I'm also cocking my wrists up, right, to start the wrist hinge. So you can see by the time I'm here, this club head is well outside my hands, but my hands have moved inward, right? And my left shoulder has moved down a lot more. Okay, so if you can get that little bit right and just practice little swings, right, maybe up to about sort of here, something like that. Now when you do this, the shaft angle is going to be a little bit more steeper going back, so that when you get up to the top, and this is what I mean by gathering it, right, the weight of the club head is going to feel like it's falling down this way, right, as you sit into your left leg there, right. Well, I don't see any of that with your swing. It's just kind of like an upper body jerk forward, right. So you've got to get up to the top. There's a little bit of a pause at the top, and you've got to feel as though you're letting the club head gather and move that way. You're going to feel it in the first pad of your trigger finger, and also when you do it, you're going to feel like you can bow your left wrist as you do it as well. Right? So what I'd like to see is that takeaway where your left shoulder's moving down, your hands are moving in, and you're cocking your wrists. Right? So you can see how the club head is outside my hands, right? But my hands are moved inwards. And you can see there's very little kind of space underneath my left arm. You look at your left arm in the takeaway, right there, and straight away, look at all this space underneath here, right? We need to keep your arm a bit closer to your body so your hands can move inward more, alright? Now, with regards to getting your left shoulder moving down, I want you to think about this. Your left shoulder, when you set up to it, has to feel as though it's moving downwards, right? Yours just is coming back this way, right? I want you to feel as though it's moving down. So, you know, before we talk about that, I mean, let's look at the differences in setup as well. This is what I mean by 50-50 with your legs, right? You can see here, you know, if I draw some lines up, kind of vertical lines just outside my feet, you can see, I mean, there's definitely a little bit more sort of weight into my left leg, right? All I want you to do, very simple little fix, is from the position you're at there, just move your hips an inch forward. That's all it is. Move your hips an inch forward, and then you'll be more on your left side, right? So when we start moving, I want you to feel as though this left shoulder is moving straight down. Right, you watch this. There. So straight away, that bit, right, compared to that, you can see your left shoulder, it just isn't moving downwards at all. Right? I want it moving down this way. Right? And if it's moving downwards, then what you're going to start to feel right? You're going to start to feel as though your spine is tilting towards the target that way. Now, for me to feel my left shoulder moving down, right here, for me to feel this shoulder going downwards, I mean, I'm literally feeling as though my spine is tilting like that. I really am. Right, that's what I have to feel. But of course it's not. You can see it isn't moving that much, but that's what I have to feel. So, with regards to understanding the difference between feel and real, well, that's what you've got to that's what you got to feel, and then it'll be better. Because at the moment, I mean, as you go back, your left shoulders are moving downwards. You're really struggling with your turn. If we stop you there at P3 with your left arm parallel to the ground, when I stop there, look at the difference in turn. Right, I've already completed my shoulder turn. Right, because I've got this feeling of my left shoulder moving downwards. In the takeaway, hands moving in, left shoulder moving down. Right, if I stop there where you are, look at the difference in turn compared to your turn. You see what I mean? So these little things are key with regards to building a good golf swing, Ronnie. So I would much prefer to see, when you send your next video over to me, I would much prefer, rather than send me a full swing, I'd like to see a half swing, but I'd like to see a position around here, right? A little half swing to there. Well, kind of where I am, right? Left shoulder moving down more, hands moving in, cocking your wrists early, and you're getting into that position. And then from that position, I'd like to see you gather the club a little bit more. Watch the top of the club. Watch the top of the club here, and watch how it kind of gathers. It kind of goes back behind me, really building up that pressure in the first pad of my trigger finger. Right, pressure point number 3. But as I'm doing that, watch my left leg as well. Watch how I kind of sit into my left leg. Right, these are all the drills I'm practicing, and as I'm doing that. Right, look at the action in my arms, right? There's an arm swing, isn't there? Yes, my lower body is moving forward, right? My lower body's moving, lower body's moving forward and upwards. That's the feeling with my hips, right? So it's moving forward. Then as I come through, watch my hips. You see how they're moving upwards? You see how they're going upwards as well, right? But as I'm doing that, I'm sitting into my left leg, but look at how I'm controlling the club with my arm. Left arm's always straight, my arm's bent down to here, but as I'm coming through, my hands and arms are out racing my body, remember? And as I'm coming through, I want you to kind of feel these kind of positions. I want you to come through and show me some flying wedge positions where you've got this kind of angle with your arms. So you can see how it's just like an upper body turn and hit with your upper body, isn't it? There's no kind of emphasis on what your hands and arms are doing at all, right? You're kind of lifting up out of it, and you're just like a whack with your body. So I'd like you to practice slow motion drills doing these sort of things, right? So you can build up these new movement patterns, right? And send me some videos in showing me these kind of positions, because this is where I want to see you. I want to see you practicing, right? Coming through, feeling a bowed left wrist, right? I want a bowed left wrist and a bent right wrist, and then that way the shaft will kind of feel as though it's more like that. And I want you to hit some shots doing it. Right, I want you to hit, this is called the flying wedge drill, right? You're coming through, your club head just out races your hands a little bit, but it's more sort of just a turn and lunge with your body rather than any kind of controlling the club with your hands, right? So, that is the best drill for you, mate. Feeling this position. And then it gives you an idea of how you've got to control the club with your hands through the shot, And the other thing is, let me pull up your other swing. Right, there's no real balance on your left foot as well. You hit it, and the club comes down, and you're letting go of the club. Well, the ball's only here, right? It's only like kind of 50 yards out, and you're already You've already pulled the club down and letting go of the club. I'd like to see you hit it and hold that position a little bit longer, right? I'd like to see you hit one there, right, and then hold your position, right? Balance on your left foot and hold that position until the ball lands, right? Just to give you an idea of, how to kind of come down and hit rather than whack it, right? Which is what it looks like you're doing. You're just coming down and turning your body at it. I want you to start controlling the club a little bit more in your hands, hitting 50% shots, and lots of practice swings as well. Don't forget, if you want to change your movement patterns, you have to start short and slow, right? You have to do lots of practice swings without the ball. Get yourself a little training club like this. I use this a lot in the lessons that I give out at Stonebridge. And it just gets people understanding these new movement patterns, right? It also, with the weight at the bottom of this little training club as well, you can really kind of feel how the club head swings, right? We want to move up to the top here, but then as we come down, this club head lays off this way. That's where the weight is, and that's where the weight of the club is going to want to go and swing. You've just got to allow that to happen. Very nice, relaxed hands on it, and then kind of just guide it down, keep your lag. Okay, Ronnie? So, in a nutshell, mate, let me get you up the swing up. I want left shoulder going down more, right, in the takeaway, there. I want your hands moving inwards more, here, right, and I want your club head coming up more, right, cocking earlier, right, so you're going to be left shoulder moving down, hands moving in, and the club head moving higher, right, and then just as you get back to here, right, the club head, the shaft will be more vertical this way, so it's pointing down kind of in between your toes and the target line, and then when you get there, right, just allow the club head to drop down, right, feel the weight of the club head in that pressure point number 3, which is the first joint of your trigger finger, your right hand, feel the weight in it, right, and then start to sit into your left leg, right, much like this one. So kind of sit into it there as you let the club head drop down. You see how that club head is kind of dropping down that way, and then sit into it, and then practice these drills in slow motion. I deliberately, after the lessons I've just given, I deliberately stayed there and kind of practice doing this on camera for you, just so you can see it, right? I want to see you practicing these kind of angles, right? Bowed left wrist, right? Bent right wrist, very important, right? The club head is going to be moving really fast at game speed, right? Our job is to control that speed, right? So any kind of feeling of releasing the club head is just going to add to you dumping it before the ball. So these kind of drills where, we're practicing a bent right wrist, flying wedge drill are going to be really beneficial to you. All right, Ronnie, any questions? Just send me an email, mate, and we'll go from there. Cheers.